Pick 1212. Copy, copy here. Got you loud and clear. Green, rolling fine.
The Performance Motorsports Network presents Burning Rubber Radio.
Burning rubber, baby.
I know what the tradition is. You don't even have to explain it. And here it is. Burning rubber, baby!
Now, from the White Lightning TV studios in Statesville, North Carolina, here is your host, Andy DeLay.
Burning rubber, baby. You're tuned in to another week of the fastest 60 minutes in motorsports, Burning Rubber Radio. I am your host, Andy DeLay, along beside Wayne Owen, Zachary Mertez this week. We got a heck of a good show. Like always, we never have a bad show. And I tell you, boys, we got a lot to talk about this week in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. And even, man, what else ran? Wayne, what else ran this week?
Let's see. NHRA ran this week. ARCA ran this week. SRX was running this week. They
got a new champ too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll have all the fun stuff coming up for you inside news of the week here in the next segment coming up here.
Hold on before you get too far in this. Get over here. Ready? Yeah, man. That was because we have a new affiliate out there, folks, out in Elk Mountain, Wyoming, and our wonderful master of ceremonies here, Wayne Owen, said they were out in Laramie, and they got hate mail to our folks over at Frontier Country. It got back to me and said, Wayne, they're not in Laramie, they're in Elk Mountain.
Well, I say blame is on you because you told me they were near Laramie when they first came on board. So
That's what I say to that.
Uh-oh.
Oh man, we're
thankfully-
already firing off on both barrels this morning.
Yeah, we are. Thankfully, the radio folks can't see what the good old Kentucky howdy that I gave you there. Anyway, Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, coming off Wake County in the Legend car and just kind of hunkering down for a little bit. Supposed to be spotting for Justice on Saturday. I don't know what's going on with that just yet,
That's
but then
Calabrio, right?
Calabro.
That's
There
what I
you
said.
go. And then
What'd I say?
the week after that, I'm supposed to be running down in Jacksonville, North Carolina in the Legend car again. So we'll see how that goes.
And
Folks, just you need to go support our Zachary Mertez. Zach, tell them how they can go follow you on social media.
Well, you can always find me on Facebook at Murtis Racing, on Twitter at Murtis Racing. I'm also just trying to branch out in a few different areas. You can also find me on Instagram, Zach_Murtis Racing. It's the main way to connect with me, or you can get in touch with me by email at MERTESRACING 102 at gmail.com. Fully spelled out. That's Murtis Racing 102 at gmail.com. Not Mertez.
I was gonna say Andy's
Murder.
got a
Whatever,
bad
man,
habit
you all-
of. Andy's got a bad habit. First it's Justice Calabrio today, and then it's Zachary Mertez. So.
I've always called him Zachary Mertez, and I've called Noah Gregson forever. And just go with, I'm old.
At least you're not calling me Martinez. I've been called that quite a few times. In that little box right underneath me, right there.
Yeah,
There
I'm
is
wing
no
wing.
A or I or N in my name.
There's no Z too.
Murtis.
There's no Z in the last name either. So
Well, my first name.
Anyway, Wayne, it's not near Laramie.
yeah. Folks,
Hey, I
folks
ate geography if you need some help, Wayne.
No, I know my geography fairly well, thank you.
Clearly you don't.
But either which way, we want to welcome the folks at Q101.5, good old time oldies out in Elk Mountain, Wyoming. And
That's right.
So, yeah, we got that. And
Don't worry, Mayor. I slapped him for you.
it didn't hurt, but hey, thick skin. What can I say, right? Moving on, though, we got to talk about our sponsors real quick here before we head to our first foreign fuel here, that being Monster 3X, Concept Lures, freshwater,
Yes.
saltwater, whatever your bait and tackle needs. Monster3xusa.com is the place to go to get hooked up with that. And our very own Captain Jeff Vickers is prime example of how well it works. He's out there using it every single day of the week on the water out in the bay in Florida.
That's right. And you actually caught fish on that with him, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I'm just surprised you didn't sink his boat as fat as you are.
Dude, I've seen fatter people. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Either which way. We've also got to talk about our guest for the week here, too, before we get ready to head over to our break for the week here. And that being one, Gary Ravon. And honestly, Andy, this is going to be a good guest here. Because Gary, he is the former crew chief for Morgan Shepherd way back in the classic days of NASCAR. He's also been involved in a bunch of other stuff as well, too. And, the best part is we get some old school stories once again this week.
Yeah, that's good. As long as you can dial the right phone number. And I guess you did some porno company or something last week or something.
God,
like,
no.
call back.
Wasn't it Morgan Shepherd, the guy who busted his butt on pit road while using some roller skates?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
God, that was a while back.
Yeah, that was, 1983, I think that happened.
Yeah.
So,
Good Lord.
fun stuff all the way around. Also, folks, when we come back here, we're going to go ahead and step aside. We're going to take our first foreign fuel. When we come back, a little bit of sobering news to talk about, too, when we get back here. We'll tell you more about what's going on when we get back from our first foreign fuel here in just a moment.
I'm Andy DeLay, and you're listening to Burning Rubber Radio on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Want to maximize your driving potential? Drive Refine is the driver optimization program for you. Led by NASCAR winning driver Joey Coulter. No matter if you race locally, nationally, or on a simulator, with a little or a lot of experience, Drive Refine focuses on your tuning scale to optimize communication between the driver and their crew chief. Visit driverefine.com for more information today.
Hey, this is former NASCAR driver Joey Coulter. This isn't your typical driver coaching. This is Drive Refine.
Burning Rubber Radio is social. Like the show at facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Follow on Twitter at twitter.com/BRR_PMN. And on Instagram at instagram.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio on the Performance Motorsports Network, Tan Talk Radio Network, Wingding.tv. Wayne Owens, Andy DeLay, Zachary Murtis hanging out
Thank
with
you,
you
Wayne.
this week. And I swear, I don't know what it is, but it is just fun to it's fun to sit here and bust Andy's balls once in a while.
Well, I can do you one better, Andy.
Love it.
Anyway.
All right, so we said we had some sobering news that we wanted to talk about, and there's actually quite a bit of sobering news to talk about this week here. And first and foremost here, we're gonna take a couple of seconds. So, folks, if you hear some dead air on the radio side, don't worry. It's natural for what we're doing in this case here. We're going to be taking a moment of silence because if you paid attention to any of the motorsports news over the weekend here, Tony Stewart Racing driver Ashley Albertson was recently killed in a two-car incident this past weekend in Indiana on Interstate 65. We later found out that it was due to a road rage incident, so somebody apparently got a little more upset than they probably should have. But either which way, we do want to take a couple of seconds here in a moment of silence for Ashley. All right. And one thing I'm going to add to that, though, too, real quick here, and Andy, you know this better than anybody working in law enforcement here. Anybody who remotely has any kind of temper issues like that with road rage, personally, now this is just my opinion, I feel like they shouldn't even have a license to be on the road.
No, it's a shame that people get so taken with driving that they've got to get violent with each other. I see it all the time. People acting, and folks, there's one word for it: stupid.
Yep.
You
I
know,
mean, we all have tempers flare on the racetrack, but that's in a closed circuit. We all know what we're doing there when it comes to being on the road. I think the best way to take a look at it is if something happens on the road between two individuals and you're fine, the other driver's fine, just move on.
Yep.
Don't deal with it. Don't pay it any mind.
here's the big thing, folks. If you are the victim or the person raging, the biggest thing to do is just hit the brakes, let the other person go. Pull over, let the other person go. Do not engage with the other person. Here's what I tell everybody. You don't know if that other person is armed or not. And nowadays, they probably are. So, do you feel like ending your life because you got to give somebody the bird? Don't do it. Just let them go.
Yep.
Make sure you take it from Andy, ladies and gentlemen. That's our resident police officer right there.
Exactly. All right. And then moving on over here to a little bit of other sobering news of the week here. Zach, was it you that brought it up? I believe it was that Tommy Baldwin has cancer, huh?
Tommy Baldwin does have cancer. He made a post about it on Instagram over the weekend. There is some good news, though. He did say it is treatable, and he is doing treatment as far as I'm aware. I don't know Tommy personally. I know Jack, one of his sons. I raced with him in Legend Cars before. We raced the summer shootout together last year. And I haven't reached out to Jack yet, but I more than likely will, just to give my condolences. But Tommy has stated that it's treatable, and he's working on it right now. The big thing, though, is that he's not asking for pity. He was posting about it to make sure that he could tell people, if you don't feel well or you think something is wrong with you, please go see your local doctor, your local physician. Get checked out. Cancer is something that affects a lot of us. I know I have a lot of family history with cancer, and I've lost a lot of relatives to cancer. So it's something near and dear to my heart. Just if you have any complications or you think there's something seriously wrong with you, please do not wait. Go see a doctor. Go tell someone and make sure that you are feeling okay.
Yep, exactly. Then moving on over here to one other thing, and you know what? It's time that we get on the soapbox, and I swear, with as much as we've done that in the last few weeks here, I'm going to have to find some audio or a graphic somewhere that's like, on the soapbox. And
okay. I can't wait to hear this one.
I can't wait to lose more viewers from another weird sound we put on.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, if Dan Bongino can do it, we can do it too. Love you, Dan. But but that's besides the point here. Moving on over to the next topic we're going to get to real quick here. We're going to be jumping on our soapboxes for a little bit here. And that being that, again, other news from this past weekend here that had surfaced is that 2 drivers, along with a driver development coach, all from Rayum Brothers Racing, have been suspended indefinitely from NASCAR, 2 of which for DWI.
Driving while impaired.
Well, yeah, I was getting to that, for DWI. And the other for a litany of other charges, including not registering as a sex offender when moving from one state to another. And if I had a sound effect for it, I would literally find one that would be like bonehead move of the week.
NASCAR, period. How did he get into NASCAR like that? But
exactly, because they're supposed to run a background check on him before he even gets his hard card.
Well, I want to be fair to Rayume Brothers or Rayume or whatever they're called racing. They are a pay-to-play team. They don't go out and recruit drivers for their machines. They go out there and say, hey, we got a rent-a-ride here for you. If you want to race, give us X amount of dollars or get the hell out of here.
Right.
So it wasn't like they were an in-house driver like at Stuart Haas or Gibbs or something like that.
Right. So, I mean, really, at that point, it ended. All that does is indemnifies RBR as far as, from any hold. It's like a hold harmless type deal at that point. So, I mean, really, Rayum Brothers, there's no fault against them for what's happened in that situation. But still, NASCAR is supposed to run background checks on all of their people prior to them being issued hard cards. And with that background check, something like that with that whole, child sex charge thing, that would have been brought up in a background check prior to this guy's hard card getting issued. So at that point, again, talking about the consistency or the inconsistencies, therefore, or thereof with NASCAR here of late. First we've got the whole deal with Noah Gragson and the meme on social media, which, obviously boneheaded move on both sides. But then now, fast forward a couple of weeks now to where we're at here with this driver development coach And we have another boneheaded move on the part of NASCAR for not seeing this in a background check, or if they saw it, willfully ignoring it.
I agree with you, man. And folks out there, if you're wondering what the heck's a hard card, it is someone that is and one of the team members. All of the teams get it. All of the drivers get it. It's basically like a little credit card that says NASCAR, and it's the way they get in and out of the venues all the time. And they're not cheap either.
It's like a personal ID for NASCAR in a way.
Right.
It just shows that you are a part of the NASCAR organization, and they, like Andy said, they run a bit of a hefty price, whether you're a driver or a team. And I'm assuming if it works the same way it does when I get my NX hard card for US Legend cars, it costs more for the driver than it does for a team member.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it runs. Somebody was telling me at one time it's like $5,000 for a year.
That's for media. We were looking into our hard cards, and I was like, heck no, man. They keep their hard cards for that much.
Exactly.
But they do more extensive background checks when it comes to drivers than it does to team members.
But still, a background check nonetheless would have found this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
all day
he's
long.
Still registered. Even if he's not registered in the state, he's still registered.
Exactly. So they would have found this. So yeah, this is the one. Right now, as far as the boneheaded moves of the week column is going, NASCAR, you're at 2. Everybody else is at 1. What are you doing?
They have their heads up their behinds anyway lately. Yes, NASCAR.
I was hoping you would have said something else so that I could have hit an air wrench, but I guess not.
You mean their heads up their asses?
There you go. Love it.
Well, at least one thing they don't got up there, whatchamacallit right now is, well, we're just coming off Watkins Glen, road course racing, Wayne.
Yep, a little bit of road course racing here, but I'll tell you what, we are actually going to have to step aside, get our next foreign fueler real quick. We'll be touching on all the NASCAR news from this past weekend at the Glen, as well as ARCA, NHRA, and a whole host of other stuff after we come back a little bit later on in the show. But when we do come back, we're going to be sitting down with our guest of the week, and that being Gary Ravon.
I'm Captain Jeff Figures from Florida Fishing and Adventures. Do you want to constantly catch more fish, spend less time changing baits? If so, Monster 3X baits, jigs, and scents are the answer. Monster 3X baits are tough, durable, and resistant, which allows you to catch more fish per bait. The combination of the Monster 3X lure with the ProCure Baits Super Scent, you will be landing more fish right away. Whether it's the Monster 3X Ultra Soft or the X Swim lures, swim shad, paddle tails, crawfish, or the X Frog, Monster 3X, you'll always find it in my tackle box.
Visit our website at burningrubberradio.com for recipes from the NASCAR chef, John Dix, and more great content. Now back to more Burning Rubber Radio.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio on the Performance Motorsports Network, Tan Talk Radio Network, Wingding.tv. Wayne Owens, Andy DeLay, Zachary Murtis hanging out with you here today, and that's 2 in a row for me, Andy. You gotta step your game up here. It's Murtis.
Okay. Whatever.
Man, hey, if we don't have a little fun with one another, what is Burning Rubber Radio, right? And,
keep it PG, buddy.
See, the funny thing is, he's automatically assuming. That means we know his mind's in the gutter. So, yeah, okay. Moving on, though, here. Moving on, though, over here. We got to get to our featured guest of the week this week. And this is one that this is one we tried to get on last week, but had a little bit of a phone issue. We won't say what actually happened.
Yeah, right. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Wayne's a little stupid. Just a little stupid.
Yeah, my 5s and my 6s look very similar, but we'll just leave that alone.
Oh, love it.
He needs some new glasses.
Dude, these are new glasses. I've only had these things for like 4 months.
Wayne, I'm trying to help you here.
And they're bifocals too, so that tells you something. Yeah, 35 and already wearing bifocals. Fun times. But with that said, here now we're gonna get over to our featured guest of the week here, and that being one Gary Ravon on with us here. And folks, if you think you recognize that name, you probably do. Going back into the days here, he was the crew chief for Morgan Shepherd. He's been a gas man with Jimmy Means. And currently his role is gas man slash gopher. And if you're curious what we mean when we say a gopher, pretty much just go for anything they need at that point. That being one, Gary Ravon. Gary, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you very much. So it is a pleasure.
Definitely likewise here, buddy. So I've got to ask here, first things first, right off the bat here, where did you get your start in motorsports, or what brought you your first introduction into motorsports before all of that stuff that we just rambled off there?
Well, it's kind of a weird story. My dad took me to my first race in 1963. At the old Spartanburg Fairgrounds.
Okay.
And I was just a kid, and I don't know, I just went nuts over it, and I just loved it. And I said, man, I would really love to do that one day. And so the years went by, and never really thought about it, because I started a career actually with a General Electric company, and was there when I was 19 years old. And worked there for 38 years. But my cousin, Donald Ravon, he was a tire changer for Ernie Irvan when Ernie first came into NASCAR and was running that 2-car.
Okay.
And he wanted me to kind of go to races with him, because back then we were just weekend warriors, you know. There wasn't no full-time people or nothing like that. But that's how I got started with him, and we would go in, and I would just run tires and do. I know the first thing I ever done, I ran tires for Dave Marcus at Charlotte. It was the first time I ever did anything, and but it was a whole different atmosphere back then than what it is today. But that's how I kind of got started with it, and then as the years went by. Got more acquainted with people and know people and stuff like that. You know, NASCAR is just like anything else. You know, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
And,
That's right.
So it kind of worked our way in there, and then later on, I guess it was in 2008. I had a client of mine that was real interested in NASCAR, and he wanted to kind of sponsor a team, and so. I kind of knew Jimmy Means, and so I kind of put 2 and 2 together there, and kind of put those guys together, and so they put a car together with Jimmy and Donnie Neuenberger.
Oh, okay.
And he drove the Quaker City Castings car, number 52, and
now what series did they race that in? Was that the ARCA series, or was that some form of NASCAR?
Well, it was Nationwide series then.
Okay.
Where today it's Xfinity, but it called Nationwide then, and that's how I kind of got really back into it full time. And then I received an early out from GE, and I was kind of working with Morgan off and on, just kind of volunteered helping him out, because he was a low budget team, and
right.
So and Jimmy at that time wasn't running the full season, so I was just kind of jumping back and forth between the two. And so that's how I wound up with Morgan. And so then we ran pretty much, every week, and was on the road every week. And so the first year I was with Morgan, we had, pretty much a full crew of people, a lot of people that's, moved on now, a lot of them that works for RCR and different people nowadays. And that's where I landed on my feet at. And then I guess it was 2011. We went in and got ready to go to Daytona, and Morgan says, "Oh, by the way, you're the crew chief." And I went, "What?"
talk about getting thrown in feet first, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the way it kind of got started. And so I wound up being the crew chief for him, and I actually got another guy hired, and hired another couple other guys, and it was basically just 3 of us guys that worked on Morgan's car all the time, and it was a handful, I'm telling you. So we would come in and pit the car, and I've done it all. I've jacked, I've changed tires, I've fueled, I've done everything.
Now, well, now the roving joke that we have here, because obviously we love to have a little fun on the show. Be careful when you say you jacked, because people who aren't NASCAR fans, they might not know what you're talking about there. With what was?
Why no one brings that up? Oh my.
Oh yeah.
Hey, remember Mike the Jack Man, Andy? You remember that time where? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my Lord!
Well, I could tell you a pretty funny story about jacking the car.
Oh Lord, do tell. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when I was jacking the car for Jimmy Means, he had a 3-pump jack. In other words, you pump it 3 times to get the car up.
Right.
Well, and when I went to Morgan's, we were at Bristol, and I had to jack the car, and nobody told me it was a 2-pump jack.
Oh.
So we go, I could jump over the wall, and I run around there, and I throw the jack under there, and jump up on the jack to raise it, and my feet came off the ground. Because I didn't have enough rear end to raise that car up on 2 jacks. So we had one of the tire carriers jumped on my back, and both of us went down with the jack handle.
Oh, that's great.
Oh man!
Talking about throwing your whole body into it.
That was a funny joke about that. So and ever since then, people laugh at me about that. But that's just part of it.
Oh man, that's great. And then currently you're working with Jeremy Clements Racing. Of course, we saw everything that happened last year. At Daytona and leading into the playoffs all the way up until now. What's it like working again for another smaller budget team like Jeremy Clements?
It's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough because we've got 4 guys, and that's basically it. And I'm one of those, and I'm just a part-time guy.
Right.
And basically they have the crew chief, Mark Setzer, and 2 guys here at the shop. And then David Farrow, which is a tire guy, and that's basically it.
Wow!
And we have another little part-time guy, Blake, that does all of our side skirts and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, that's it. But I usually get here like on Mondays, like this morning. I was here at 6 o'clock this morning, washing the hauler.
Wow!
And cleaning it and unloading stuff, and had a little problem unloading this morning because we had a problem at Watkins Glen with the rear end, and it kind of locked the rear end up. So we had a little problem trying to get the car out of the hauler this morning, but we got it out.
Oh, grab the tow cable and pull.
But yeah, I've worked for more small teams. I don't know what it would be like to work on a big team where people's got one guy that does this and one guy that does that, and
right.
Everybody here just jumps in and does whatever's got to be done.
That level of like grassroots style racing, even in the NASCAR level, is still something that fans may not see it all the time, or they may not necessarily appreciate it all the time. But those of us who know the hard work that goes into something like that, we appreciate the smaller teams a lot more, and actually root, at least with me, and I know Andy and I think Zach as well. We all root for the smaller guys. Like when we saw that Jeremy made the playoffs last year after his win at Daytona, dude, that tickled us to death because that that was impressive.
Oh yeah, it's just it was just like our first win at Road America.
Mm-hmm.
It was just wow, it was unbelievable. I just couldn't believe that we won that race.
Right. And you know what? Actually, come to think of it, Andy, this would be a great question to ask, Gary here. So, going back into last year, with everything that happened with Jeremy, where technically he didn't have to send his motor to R&D to have it looked at, but they did anyway, and then NASCAR did what they did, where they tried to strip him of his playoff eligibility at that point. What exactly was wrong with the motor so much that they claimed that there was a big problem?
Well, it wasn't the motor itself. It was the intake manifold.
Okay.
And what we found out was all of these big teams and stuff, after they win and stuff, they send their motors they have to be checked by NASCAR,
right?
Which is the rules. And but they always take the intake manifold off of the motor, so they're not even there. And us, we didn't know no better,
Right.
and it was just and then the actual part of it was we've run that same manifold forever,
Right.
and so they used to check that stuff years ago. Back when I first started, they checked the height of those things every week.
Right.
But then they got away from it from the last 2 or 3 years. They don't even check that anymore. But then what it was is the height before the carburetor or the plate sits on top of the manifold.
Gotcha.
And it was actually too low, which doesn't help you at all. It hurts you more than it helps you.
Right, exactly.
So, but that's what it was all about.
Okay, so again, it goes back to the more of who you know and what you know, or versus what you know, because at that point, somebody didn't pass along the info like, hey, don't forget to take that off.
Well, no, it wasn't that. I mean, it's just they just don't check that anymore.
All right, exactly.
But they said, oh well, it's here, we'll check it. That's just the way it is.
Right, very true.
But thankfully, they ruled in our favor, which I was very thankful for.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it was and again, it was great to see Jeremy running in the playoffs last year. Because especially from a family perspective too, because it's a family team with Jeremy Clements Racing, and again, grassroots level style racing. You love to see something like that, Andy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially from a team that's an underdog, and that's really good stuff. It's really nice. Are you in the shop right now, Gary?
Yes, sir. I am in the shop right now.
It. Oh my gosh, not only we're doing an interview, but doing an interview while you're at the shop. That's grassroots, folks.
Yes,
kind of like Burning Rubber Radio,
Yeah.
So that's really neat.
Like I say, I've been here since 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh wow. So long day.
The secret to cleaning the hauler is getting here before it gets daylight. It's so hot.
Yeah, especially this summer.
Yeah, right.
It's definitely not cool out there today.
Well, I was going to say, what now? Are y'all up in Virginia or North Carolina? Or where you at right now?
We're in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, you're down there in the armpit of the South. So.
Oh my God, yeah, that's the way to talk, Wayne. Okay.
Well, we're not quite the cesspool of the South. But,
I would say you're not.
Well, I was going to say that's Columbia, but.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Oh my God, all the people we just lost. I'm sorry, listeners that left in Columbia.
Hey,
don't blame
the funny thing, Andy.
I'm a huge Clemson fan, so yeah.
The funny thing, Andy, is if you actually live in Columbia, South Carolina, you honestly admit that it's the armpit of the South. Trust me, I've had many people tell me that. So
I have no comment.
Oh, but that's all besides the point here. Well, Gary, it has been an absolute blast.
Oh yeah,
getting to have you on the show here for a few minutes this week, and we got a tradition we want to get you in on here. And knowing that Daytona is coming up this weekend, and I would love more than anything to see Jeremy get a Cinderella story and do it again with another win at Daytona. And
wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be, but we got a tradition we want to get you in on here. Our buddy Kenny Wallace started this back in 2008. Grabbed the mic out of Andy. Yes, old Herminator. And shouted 3 famous words, "Burning rubber, baby," at the top of his lungs. And the cool part about those 3 famous words, it either gets you 2 tenths on the racetrack, or in Jeremy's case, a chance at a guaranteed race win.
All righty.
So whenever you're ready, just holler.
Just shout them.
Yeah, just shout those 3 famous words whenever you're ready, buddy.
Burning rubber.
All right, close enough.
He's gonna win.
Clements is gonna win. We're gonna see another. We're gonna see Jeremy back in the playoffs again in 2023. I know it. And
absolutely.
But with that said, here, folks, that is Gary Ravon of Jeremy Clements Racing. And stand by, folks. We're going to step aside. We're going to take one more quick foreign fuel. And when we come back, we're going to have, I think that, Andy, you see that fire over there? We're going to have to go talk to the NASCAR chef. Yes,
John Dix, baby.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be talking to the NASCAR chef when we come back.
Want to maximize your driving potential? Drive Refine as the driver optimization program for you. Led by NASCAR winning driver Joey Coulter. No matter if you race locally, nationally, or on a simulator, with a little or a lot of experience, Drive Refine focuses on your tuning scale to optimize communication between the driver and their crew chief. Visit driverefine.com for more information today.
Hey, this is former NASCAR driver Joey Coulter. This isn't your typical driver coaching. This is Drive Refine.
This is Burning Rubber Radio. Now let's get cooking in the kitchen with the NASCAR chef, John Dix.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio on the Performance Motorsports Network, Tan Talk Radio Network, Wingding.tv, Wayne Owens, Andy DeLay, Zachary Murtis hanging out with you this week here. And Andy, it's that time, brother.
Yeah, let's fire that grill up and talk to the NASCAR chef, John Dix. How you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, burning rubber, baby.
Burning rubber.
Burning rubber, baby.
Man, I swear I love hearing how clean that sounds still yet 2 weeks in.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice mic, bro.
All right, so NASCAR chef John Dix, I hear you got steak and shrimp for us this week here. By the way, the folks over at Heights Meat Market, we know you're listening. John's going to be putting in that order very soon.
Yes, sir, guys. We got a good steak and shrimp skillet. You know, it's that time of year where shrimp is coming in season and oysters, which we might have some oyster recipes coming up. But and we always can get some good steak over there with our friends.
Yeah, you know what, John? We got to make up a recipe, or you got to get a recipe, and we got to cook up some mountain oysters for Wayne.
Oh, God, no. No. Hell no. Hell no. I ain't falling for that shit again.
Yeah, well, I figure you put some nuts in your mouth, it'll put a smile on your face, Wayne.
All right, Mr. We won't go into that.
You almost choked on something right there.
Yeah, almost choked on Mountain Dew.
Oh,
All right. Now, I know you can't see it because you got a graphic on the screen, but folks at home, it was not Mountain Dew.
Anyway, go ahead, buddy. Let's hear what you got this week.
There. No, you can see it. Now, back to the graphic, John. What's good with a steak and shrimp?
Okay, guys, we're going to do a steak and shrimp skillet. We're going to start with 1 pound of steak tips, or whatever your favorite cut is. Mine is chuck roast. 1 pound of thawed, peeled, and deveined shrimp. 2 cups of zucchini. You want to slice it thin. 1 cup of asparagus. You want to slice it thin as well into little pieces. 1 cup of red peppers. Chop them up real good. A half a cup of onion. Chop it as well. 1 tablespoon of garlic. You want to mince it up. 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And 1 tablespoon of Cajun seasoning. Now, guys, in a bowl, you want to mix together all your ingredients, but without the steak. Okay, in a skillet at medium heat, pour a little oil in there and cook your steak, but don't cook it all the way that you like it, because remember, again, later on you're going to add the shrimp and the vegetables and keep it cooking, so you don't want your steak to get overcooked. So do it about halfway how you like it, whether rare, medium rare, well done. And if you like it totally well done, then cook the heck out of it. But anyways, then you're going to add all of your other ingredients to the skillet and cook them well, but make sure you cook the shrimp until it's pink all the way through. Mix it up real good, and I'm going to tell you something, guys. This is a very tasty, very fun, and a very easy recipe.
I was going to say,
yes.
That does sound good. And by the way, for anybody that likes their steaks well done, I question your mental stability.
Thank you.
Now,
That's the
John,
truth.
I have a quick question about this recipe.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Did you get the extra virgin from Wayne?
Where is that? That drum. Thank you.
By the way, Zach.
Again,
Yeah,
I'm gonna one up you just like I did Andy.
Yeah, folks out there on Radio World can't see those wonderful middle fingers, guys.
If you have a question about what we're doing, you can go back to Darlington 2020 and look at what Chase Elliott did to Kyle Busch.
Yep.
That's right. I go to wingding.tv, folks. You can see us on video there. Wingding.tv. Yeah.
We have too much fun on this show here, folks. But as you can see, the recipe on the screen right now for those watching the video side of things here. And with that said here, if you ever want to reach the NASCAR chef, all you got to do is send him an email at racing2thegrill. That's RACING, the number 2, thegrill @gmail.com. And we no longer have the general mailbox for right now, folks. So don't have to worry about Andy getting it confused with mail, M-A-I-L. So we no longer have to worry about that for a while. But again, folks, if you ever want to reach the NASCAR chef, again, his email is racing, RACING, the number 2, thegrill @gmail.com. And John, you know we can't let you leave the segment without those 3 famous words, brother.
Burning rubber, baby.
Burning rubber, baby. All right, with that said here, folks, again, take one last good look at the recipe here for the week. We're going to step aside. We're going to take our next 4 in fuel, and when we come back, we're going to dig into all of the stuff from Watkins Glen this past weekend, the ARCA Menards Series, NHRA. We've got a whole bunch of news that we're going to cover right after this.
I'm Captain Jeff Figures from Florida Fishing and Adventures. Do you want to constantly catch more fish, spend less time changing baits? If so, Monster 3X baits, jigs, and scents are the answer. Monster 3X baits are tough, durable, and resistant, which allows you to catch more fish per bait. The combination of the Monster 3X lure with the Pro-Cure Baits Super Scent, you will be landing more fish right away. Whether it's the Monster 3X Ultra Soft or the X Swim lures, swim shad, paddle tails, crawfish, or the X Frog, Monster 3X, you'll always find it in my tackle box.
Burning Rubber Radio is social. Like the show at facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Follow on Twitter at twitter.com/BRR_PMN. And on Instagram at instagram.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now, back to more Burning Rubber.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio on the Performance Motorsports Network, Tan Talk Radio Network, Wingding.tv. We know it's Andy DeLay, Zachary Mitters, and the NASCAR chef, John Dix, hanging out with you here this week on the show. And, Zach, you know what? I'll tell you what, I want to touch on some stuff from Watkins Glen here, but Zach, real quickly, Zach, you found something dealing with the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles that might be motorsports related?
Well, we've all heard it from time to time. NASCAR's not a sport. Racing's not a sport. It's not in the Olympics. Not in 2028, it won't be.
Really?
In 2028, the organizers for the Los Angeles Olympics are talking about bringing motorsports into the Olympic Games.
Nice. What kind?
Right now, what people are saying is go-karting. That's what they're talking about.
Close enough.
It's still in the works right now. The organizers are still discussing it. Karting has been featured in the 2018 Youth Olympics before, but racing hasn't been in the Olympics since all the way back in the 1900s when they were doing racing on the road in France.
Yeah.
So, other than that, we haven't really seen motorsports in the Olympic Games for well over 100 years.
But still,
so
the
finally,
fact that
we're starting to see some of that branch back in. They're talking about doing full cars, like big cars. I don't know where they're going to do it. There's not really a lot of tracks in Los Angeles. They might be able to build a street course and do a formula-style race. But other than that, everything's still up in the air.
Interesting. All right. Well,
very cool.
Who'da thunk we'd ever possibly see him come back to the Olympics? But I don't know, that might give Andy a little bit of hope on possibly getting in and actually winning a gold medal somewhere other than VIR.
Ho ho ho!
Oh man. But we want to jump in real quick and wrap into all of our final news of the week here for this week on the show here in Watkins Glen, boys. Now that we're moving into Daytona, we've only got one final chance for any potential playoff entries to get themselves in or be watching from the sidelines after next weekend because, well, Hendrick Motorsports won this past weekend at Watkins Glen, but it was not Chase Elliott. It was William Byron.
Remind me.
Oh, Willie B won. That's awesome.
And with that here, he now has a season-high 5 victories. And based on the way this article reads here is that he has now more than doubled his NASCAR Cup Series career total entering the season. So he came into the season with 4, and now he has 9 total victories just from this year alone, if you account for the 5 that he's added so far in 2023. Right. And now, granted, Hamlin had the pole, but, MTJ, who was it? MTJ that was kind of iffy on whether or not he was going to possibly have the regular season championship or not this year so far. Based on what I remember from the race is that MTJ actually still finished above Denny Hamlin.
Yes.
I believe you are correct on that, Wayne.
But he didn't clinch, did he?
He did not clinch yet because William Byron and actually Denny Hamlin and William Byron finished 1-2.
Okay.
MTJ finished 6th.
I shouldn't say he's in the playoffs. He clinched the playoffs.
He's in the playoffs.
Regular season championship.
Yep.
Regular season championship has not been clinched just yet. Looking at the NASCAR standings right now, Denny Hamlin is 39 points behind Martin Truex Jr. rolling into Daytona. William Byron is 76. So Denny Hamlin mathematically is the only one that still has a shot at the regular season championship, unless Martin Truex Jr. for some unbeknownst reason does not start the race.
Yep. And then going all the way back down here to kind of like the cut line spot right here, looking at those who could be in or out. Ty Gibbs right now is sitting at 16th. He's 303 points off of the lead. And then 5 points behind him is Michael McDowell in 17th. Daniel Suarez is about 11 points behind him in 18th. A.J. Allmendinger a little ways behind in 19th. So those 3 drivers right there, based on what I'm looking at here from a points perspective, are the ones that could possibly shake up the top 16 as we head into the championship.
Too bad you're looking at driver points and not playoffs.
I'm looking at overall total points heading into the regular season.
Yes.
Or to the end of the regular season.
If you're talking strictly playoffs, Michael McDowell is locked in, and the cut line, Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick, let's just get that out of the way, have officially locked themselves in based on their points total after Watkins Glen, Keselowski being 139 to the good and Harvick being 135. Bubba Wallace is the only one at risk of not making the playoffs, being 32 points above the cut line from Ty Gibbs. Daniel Suarez is 43 points behind Bubba Wallace. A.J. Allmendinger is 72 points out of the cut line. And then you have Alex Bowman, 96, and Chase Elliott, 101. Allmendinger, Bowman, and Elliott are in must-win situations, whereas Suarez would need a heck of amount of stage points over Bubba Wallace. And if he were to get 2 stage wins, that's 20 points, and then he would still have to finish about 20 spots in front of Bubba Wallace to be able to make it in on points. Ty Gibbs, about the same, plus 10 positions, whereas everyone else under that must win.
Yep. So I don't know, boys. I'm going to be totally honest when I say this. I don't think Chase is going to make it this year.
Shut up.
He wins.
Shut up.
He is not. We'll find out on.
We'll find out on Saturday night under the lights.
Yeah, Saturday night. Yeah, excuse me.
Yep. The Coke Zero Sugar 400. We'll find out. We'll find out under the lights at Daytona, as long as it doesn't rain again like it did last year.
Well, it's not looking that way right now.
Well, good. Go figure. The weekend that we're actually not going to Daytona, it's not going to rain.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He's not bringing the curse with him.
Yeah, right. And but moving over real quick now to the Xfinity Series here, and that being Sam Mayer gets a statement in and upsets the pole sitter Ty Gibbs once again, and apparently that's a rivalry that is reignited once again this season.
Ty Gibbs got dumped by Sam Mayer on the final restart in overtime, and I don't shed a tear over that one. You know why? Because Ty Gibbs ran Sam Mayer up into the fence on the restart before that, and I don't know how Sam saved that car. I mean, that was crazy. And I'll tell you this right now. If this kid's name wasn't Gibbs, he wouldn't be anywhere right now. He's driving good equipment in Xfinity. He's driving decent equipment in Cup, and he can't get it done.
Yep.
The guy's a hack.
Yep. I mean, now granted, yes, he's only 20 years old, so he's got a little bit of learning time still to go as far as, getting his feet wet with the series. But yeah, I mean, he's got to hurry up and kind of get with the game plan, shall we say, and get things going there. One other story to touch on here. Speaking of other motorsports venues here this past weekend, the ARCA Menards Series was up in Springfield, Illinois this past weekend, Andy, and Brent Cruz finally terminated Jesse Love's summer winning streak.
Wait a second. The ARCA Menards Series was at Watkins Glen because
Yes, ARCA Menards Series was at Watkins Glen, and I believe it was ARCA West. No, it might have been West, but it might have been the primary series. I'm not.
I was going to say, based
sure.
on the article I see here, this was the primary ARCA Menards Series.
Yeah, because Corey LaJoie won the pole for the ARCA race.
Yeah, let's see.
Corey
here.
LaJoie won the pole for Watkins Glen.
Was all
Jesse Love won Watkins Glen, and then Brent Cruz, as Wayne was just talking about, won Illinois State Fairground on the dirt. And
the Dutch Boy 100. It was his just his second ARCA Menards Series start. So this was the primary
First
series
win.
that was at Springfield.
Yeah, what were you doing at 15 years old? You had your face buried in a school book. What was Brent Cruz doing? Winning ARCA races on the dirt.
Ain't that something?
Some really cool stuff all the way around. Speaking of,
And what about SRX now?
So yeah, we're going to be touching on SRX here in just a minute too, unless you got the news on that one, Andy, because I don't.
Yeah, we got a new champion for 2023 in the SRX series, and that is,
I'm going to say Ryan Newman.
You know
Rocket
it,
Man
Ryan Newman.
himself.
The Rocket Man takes the title from Tony Stewart this year, and man, congratulations, Rocket Man.
Yeah, some
Ryan
good stuff.
Newman had, I believe, one win, but I think the thing that won him the championship was consistency. Out of all 6 races, he never finished outside of the top 5.
Nope.
Once. Never. And I will say, for Lucas Oil Speedway putting on a good show, Clint Boyer throwing big slide jobs on Jonathan Davenport. That was a fun race to watch.
Oh,
yes, it was. Let's see here. And so moving on over here to one other topic real quick, because we got a couple of last ones here. We're going to just highlight them real quick here. MotoGP, Francesco Bagnaia gets an extended points lead after his win in Austria this past weekend here. Lucas Oil late models over in the dirt here, the Topless 100 gets a $50,000 payday for Dale McDowell, and it only took him 19 years to get his second career Comp Cams Topless 100 win. So some good stuff for Dale McDowell this past weekend in the Topless. Ron Capps, speaking of a guy that we love talking about here, Andy's back in the lead in funny cars after getting the win at Brainerd this past weekend. So really good stuff for Ron Capps. And also Antron Brown, Robert Height, and Erica Enders won the Brainerd Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge this past weekend here. So, again, Erica Enders, I'm not going to gaff like I did last week. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Nope. You can't make me. But with that said here, folks, we have got to get ourselves over to picks for the week. And with that said here, Andy, as you know, brother, you have pick numero uno, sir.
Yeah, Michael McDowell, man. He had some troubles last week, little electrical problems at Watkins Glen. Don't worry, though, folks. He's going to be in victory lane this weekend at Daytona.
All right. Well, good stuff. Michael McDowell there going in. You know what? I didn't update my pick, so I'm just going to stick with what I got. I guess I'm going to go with Alex Bowman. I mean, Hendrick Motorsports, they're dominant with super speedways like they have been all year, except for Chase Elliott.
Right.
I'm waiting for Zach to kind of get up out of his chair and walk over and think he's going to.
I can't. I'm not wearing any pants.
Oh, my gosh. I don't need to do it.
Oh God!
Only on Burning Rubber Radio.
Wayne texted me this morning. I just hopped out of bed. I mean, I was exhausted. It's been a long weekend of racing.
I suppose so.
Yeah, we won't touch that one. All right, Taylor Burris did not get a pick in this week here, so he is stuck with Ty Dillon for Daytona, and then Zachary Burtis. Your pick is next.
Well, I'm going with Ty's teammate Corey LaJoy. I don't want to get my hopes up about Chase, even though I would very much like to see him win at Daytona, which he's done in the past. But Corey LaJoy's shown a lot of speed, so I'm just going to bite my lip on this one and pick Corey LaJoy.
Yeah, there you go. And then NASCAR chef John Dix, your pick's up next, brother. Okay, well, I think we may have lost the NASCAR chef here. So his pick for the week, he is going to go with that number 5 of Kyle Larson, and see if old Kyle can get something done this week down at Daytona. I got a good feeling about Larson. I don't know why, but I do. It's just HMS in general. You know, they're dominant again this season. And then Bobby Dale Earnhardt, he's going to sympathize with you, Zach, and actually go for Chase Elliott to potentially get into the playoffs this weekend coming up at Daytona. Again, I have my doubts that Chase is going to do anything, and mostly
here's the problem though, Wayne. Andy's going to beat us all. That's the problem, because we've all got Chevy picks and he's got a Ford pick. And have you not seen how the Fords have been doing on the plate tracks? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one time that they're not fix or repair daily.
Or found on a road dead. Remember that one?
That too, right. Yeah. All right. Well, with that said, here, folks, we have got to get out of here for another week of Burning Rubber Radio on the Performance Motorsports Network, the Tan Talk Radio Network, Wingding.tv. For our guests this week, Gary Ravon and NASCAR chef John Dix, Bobby Dale Earnhardt, Taylor Burris, Jeremy Taylor, Zachary Murders, and Andy DeLay. I am producer Wayne, guys, and until next week, we love you and Burning Rubber, baby!
Burning Rubber, baby.
Burning Rubber Radio is a production of the Performance Motorsports Network in association with the White Lightning TV studios in Statesville, North Carolina. This week's episode was produced by Wayne Owens. Remember to visit burningrubberradio.com for news, recipes, and more great content. Burning Rubber Radio may also be downloaded from our podcast site, pmn2.com, or from Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcasts. The opinions expressed on this show are those of the hosts and guests and do not reflect those of the Performance Motorsports Network or the Scorpion Radio Group. Any use of the accounts or descriptions contained in this broadcast must be with the express written permission of the Performance Motorsports Network or the Scorpion Radio Group.